what's up? This is Shadow Rock and Profo Won of the Floor Gangs and the Knuckleneck Tribe, and you're watching The Trades, a show about breaking, hip-hop, and the business of. We're coming to you live from downtown San Francisco at Sandy's Loft. And who else do I have? I got my man, Bboy Ynot, hailing from New Jersey, representing the Rocksteady Crew. What up, Tony?
What's going on, brother? Thanks for having me.
Yes, man, it's crazy because this is another location change. As far as we usually have it at the Trades couch, but this time Tony's out here in the city doing a show for City Dance Live, and then he was like, "Hey, let's go to Sandy's loft." I was like, "Yeah, it's dope.
It's a nice spot."
Obviously, I can't show the whole thing. I can't, got to do the show. You know what I mean? So I'm freestyling too. I got my cue cards. Well, that's only for the rundown later on. By the way, I have to set the timer for the show.
Starting now.
Yes, starting now. So let me start with the first question. Like I said, I'm freestyling. So I mean, I don't want I usually like to ask questions that are out of the norm.
Yes.
So what made you want to pursue art? And what is your art about, and what you've been up to as far as that's what you're going for at school, right?
Yeah,
graphic design. Yeah, so
I'm going for my MFA right now. It's actually it's a study of dance, but I'm trying to relate dance to everything else, right? So the way that I did that was I'm studying rhythm, so the rhythm in visual art, the rhythm in music, the rhythm with the body and dance.
Right.
And I use that as my through line about speaking about how to create all the pieces that I do.
Right.
So not too long ago, I did a documentary with Fable where we talked about making the letters dance. That was that whole thing. So I was always hearing about that back then,
Yeah.
Back then, back when I was maybe 15 years old, 16 when I first met everybody, and so I think just unconsciously it was always in my head, thinking about that whole concept of seeing music and everything.
Yeah.
And started off real early when I was younger, drawing comic books. I think was the first thing.
Yeah.
So I was already into the whole structure of the body and all these types of things. I didn't get into graffiti till way later, and I don't even consider myself necessarily a graffiti writer because I think that whole movement came with a certain energy and a way of doing it that I missed. I missed that whole boat that sailed off a long time ago. But I do try to follow the foundations and the traditions of that whole movement about focusing on the letter, right? So I do my my due diligence, my research on that. But
so were you more of a black book guy? Would you hit a lot of black books, or just kind of more
mostly on paper? Yeah, mostly on paper. I mean, I do walls. I had to learn the art of the can. You have to. I mean, it's a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't do that so heavy. It's not something that I just attack. That's not my battle when it comes to that whole movement. I'm trying to think about where could we take these ideas. So I feel there's this inside knowledge within graph and playing with letters and that whole structure, and there's so many ways you could take that off the wall. You know what I'm saying? My idea is off the wall. Can we make these sculptures? Can they become some functionable form, in the world? So that's all I'm working on.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like I said, because when I talked to Wiggles, that was the first question I asked was about how do you get involved with graffiti?
Yeah.
Because I think for a lot of people, it's that you have another artistic side of things, and you want to always explore that, and that will definitely influence your dance. You know what I mean? So so you started in New Jersey as far as we're still talking about the art. Were you in high school going I want to really do art as a living as far as back then
Yeah. Because my first degree was in computer science.
Okay.
So I didn't even know anything about computers even at that moment. I was more of a fine artist, I guess you could say. So I was painting, drawing. I did mess around with sculpture a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, I just think the art movement was the first thing for me for sure. Anything visual, anything on paper, Architecture was big for me.
Okay,
I swore I was gonna do that, but then I went through the process of some schooling of that, and I was like, I don't know.
Drafting, you took drafting classes and all that kind of stuff.
It felt limiting to me because I didn't realize all the work behind the math of that and stuff, which I actually, now I'm into it. Like it kind of came full circle after a while. But yeah, in the beginning I was like, no, I just want to draw comic books.
Right. So, like I'm sure, like a lot of artists, like I'm sure you started drawing as a super little kid, like maybe 5, 4, whatever.
Yeah,
like that.
I can't even pinpoint when it started.
So when did the passion of dance come? Did it come early, like the same time, like 4 or 5 and stuff like that, when you started?
I think dance was probably the last thing I got into.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then from drawing, I found because I was always listening to music while drawing, and then I got into jazz a lot because that was the best music for me, just creatively to listen to.
Yeah.
So I played the saxophone for a while.
Yeah.
Then eventually I found funk music and all this other stuff. So all the records that my mom had were more rock and roll, kind of Frank Sinatra, that kind of situation. And then later I found James Brown. I don't even remember how that happened, but once I got a hold of that music, I just went crazy, you know. And then when I first then saw the dance and I saw it done to that music, I was like, oh shit, that's it, I'm hooked now. Yeah.
So you started, from our previous conversations, you saw like Elite Force first, right? Were those the first dancers you saw, or was it?
No, first dancers I ever saw was the float committee.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. All
yeah,
right.
because like street hitting was probably the only thing that you could see if you weren't old enough to go to a club.
Right.
You know, in the early mid '90s, and so that's the first time I actually saw it besides television. Right. In person. So I was like,
What year was that? What year was that when you saw Float Committee?
93 maybe.
That's crazy.
It was Christmas time.
Okay,
I remember just going to the city to see the tree.
Yeah.
And we heard music and a bunch of people piled up and I'm like this, like what's going on? And then you see them and you're like, what?
And this was like Clowning Them, right? Was this Clowning Them or?
I don't remember Clown. I don't think it was Clown, but
like
it was
Tick and Tack or something like that?
No, this was back like Dre Day and these guys. Like it's just like and I think they were just starting or coming off tour with KRS One.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's crazy because I know some of those guys came out here in '95 in Christmas time. It was like '95, and it was Clown. It was definitely Clown. Them. They came.
Well, yeah, that's more of the Float Committee, right? But then they kind of crossed over. So I think more of the guys that I saw were Breeze Team,
right.
But then also mixed. I don't know if they danced together or not. I can't remember their faces, but I just do remember like that name, and then I heard Breeze Team later. So maybe I was looking at Float Committee, and then I recognized Breeze Team later. I don't even know.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out.
See,
I'm so young, I can't
that's what I
remember,
mean.
You know what I'm saying? But those two names definitely were like the street hitters of that, of all that time.
So then after you saw them, like you're kind of, did it spark interest? Did you want to learn it right away, or was it kind of like, oh, that's cool, and then it's like friends came, or was it just like, how did it become more of like a thing? It was like you started going to like maybe a school dance or something like that, and it just started applying to your life like more majorly.
I think I just started seeing it more.
Yeah?
I immediately was like more into the popping aspect.
Right.
Yeah, because they did both, right? So kind of boogie boy style, I guess at that time. Because they would start popping and then get down and do footwork, but I was more attracted to the popping. I was like, that's hot, you know what I mean? The breaking looked choppy to me. It kind of was, right? So I was like, I don't know. But then when I started seeing it on TV more, I started getting into the breaking, right? And I think it was actually the Planet Rock video was when I was like, what's that? You know what I mean? I knew it was the same, but I was like, they look like they're doing it different, you know what I mean? And then when I finally went to the Bronx, like way, about a year and a half or so after, then I saw it, like actually saw it done that way. Right. But I had to look around and ask. There was like a kid in my gym class in high school that was like, oh, you should go to this guy's Taekwondo school. They break over there. So I went over there. That's where I met Dynamite and these other guys from RWF.
Rock with Finesse.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then they were the ones that tell me, oh, you got to go to a Rocksteady event or something. Right. I think those were like the only things happening.
Yeah.
So they, told me where it's at in the Bronx, and I went by myself the first time.
From Jersey.
Going
on
Jersey,
That's crazy.
It was a little crazy.
And how old were you?
14
years old.
I had to. I mean, I was so intrigued by it, and I don't know. There was really nothing going on in my city. There was some breaking, like Passaic, Patterson, New Jersey had their little scene kind of, but I didn't find those people till later.
Right. That's crazy.
But it was small, man.
Yeah.
It was small at the time.
Yeah, shout out to Odie.
That's right.
Right from there.
Well, she's out here.
Yeah, Odie's out here, but that's the first
crazy.
guy I saw from New Jersey. It's like, you gotta see this crazy Korean kid named Odie.
Odie was wild, man. He was wild, man.
And it's like, yo, Rock for Finesse, like, you were down with Rock for Finesse?
Shout out to Kai Han, Sweet Pea.
Oh,
Taiwanese
shoot.
Attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a nice squad, actually.
Right.
I think Rock for Finesse was like, we really inspired the Jersey kids too, like, because we did a lot. I mean, we battled a lot, and I don't know, it's like, we were the only organized crew in Jersey at the time.
Yeah.
Then you got like the Zebra Mobs that kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo,
shout out to Zebra Mob, they were sick too.
That's right.
So basically you started going to the events, you started going to the Rocksteadies, and that's the first time I saw Why Not was the Rocksteady 98.
Wow.
That's when Gerald won I think that was the first official one-on-one B-boy
That's right.
competition that in the US anyway that I know of.
It was.
That was for $1,000, and back then it was like, oh shit.
And it was promoted as the international B-boy one-on-one, which it was. I mean, there were like people from everywhere there. I mean, it's so weird because even in a lot of USA events now, besides freestyle session, you're not going to get that type of attendance anymore.
Right.
I mean, people came from everywhere. I remember Flubber was there from France and all these other names that you probably
cross-entered. Who's the kid from Chicago? Spinister. And the thing is, in the finals, there was Gerald. Wicked entered. The finals was Gerald, Legacy, and Why Not, but we didn't know him as Why Not, we knew him as Boo Boo.
That's right.
He had the, I guess, like even back then, when character was rare, you were still rocking that style.
That was the style that I saw. I mean, that's what intrigued me about the dancers were their personalities over their moves. I mean, I thought moves were cool, but there was something about like the way people were moving that I was like, I like that. I wanted to like be that basically.
So my thing is so anybody out there, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the comments, and then I'll get to you before the last question. So my next question is, and this is what we're leading. We had a little conversation earlier. Yeah. So how do you stay relevant in the industry part of breaking now? Because the whole thing is, the last time, like, to really trip, right? And this is not taking credit, not saying anything, but the last time that Why Not's major competition that he won was Street Star, and that was like about 7 years ago. Yeah. Right now, we just had a discussion. He was like, I think the last event I did was Concrete All Stars 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Or what was the other competition besides freestyle session?
It was exhibition.
It was against Physics and Born. Yeah. Right. So after all that was 7 years ago. That was like that was like probably
almost a decade.
Yeah. You're still relevant. You're still and that's the thing we were discussing. Like, how did you stay relevant when the last competition you won was 7 years ago?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or was that 8 years ago? Wait a second.
I don't even want to do the math anymore. I don't want to do that.
No. It's like, it was almost 9 years ago. Holy crap. All right, no. Yeah. But anyway, So how do you stay relevant? How do you still? How are you able?
Just the Boo was probably the last one I won. 2010.
2010, which was still 6 years ago.
No, because then after that we did.
But I mean, the most
was then after that, the same
but
year.
The most recognizable one I would say was
for sure.
The Street Star one, right?
Maybe just the Boo was a little bit bigger.
Okay, yeah. So, and that was
that's 2000. When I got more recognition.
And that was 2011, right? 2010?
I think so.
Holy crap! So, how do you stay relevant? Because right now, you're still traveling, you're still judging events, you're still doing workshops, and obviously you're here in San Francisco doing a show. So, what's your thing? What's your secret? What's something you could give to the audience out there? Because obviously, if it was just competition, I wouldn't have heard of you. Remember that guy? Why not?
I think it's the fact that I got my hands in a bunch of things, Paul. I do like a lot of different art, which I think keeps me interesting. You know what I mean? So people probably watching to see what I'm doing next. I also have like a very mystical presence, I guess you could say, online. I've actually.
What are you talking about? He's not even on Facebook.
I've been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing that a lot lately. I'm like, really? You think so? That's just my aesthetic. Like the way I think about art is just very different. But and I also think it's just like I had a unique thing to kind of bring to the table, and I think if you can think either really far enough outside the box, or you do your homework so well that you're just bringing back something that's important to the game.
Right.
Like people will always remember you for that. And I just think also like since then people haven't really taken the sun out of me yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't taken the shine. You know what I mean? So until someone else can like really come along and be that kind of musical, you know, they'll forget about me, and that's what we hope for. I mean, it's like that's not, you know, something that I'm scared of. I hope that happens. You know what I mean? I mean, I still teach heavy too. That's another thing. So I'm like trying to always spread like the knowledge of like things that I made my own connections with, and then stuff I learned from Legs and Wiggles and Fable, and like you know, there's a lot of stuff in there, and I try to you know give that out to as much of the community as possible, but. I don't know. I mean, this is my lifestyle, so I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always gonna be doing it. You're always gonna see me somewhere, you know, and I'm always gonna come with something new at some point because that's how I'm thinking. That's how my mind works. You know?
Yeah, like you just had something in AZ where you had a gallery, but you had like a bunch of different dancers. Like, can you describe that? Because like, you know, like I said, we just saw on social media. So can you describe the show you had?
Yeah, so a lot of that comes from like just my own personal research of like the 80s. You know what I mean? Because, you know, there was an era going on when I was born, and then like I missed all that kind of thing, and then I caught like the second wave and then resurgence of b-boying, basically, right? But there was like a whole gallery movement. Like if we go back to like Ramelzy, Don D, Madonna, Lower East Side, Fun Gallery, Patty Astor, Fab Five Freddy. Like, I've heard those stories so much, and then you see the pictures, you watch something like Wild Style, and you question it because from even where I was at, starting in the 90s up until now, I haven't seen anything like that happen again. Or at least not to what I pictured it as from hearing the stories. So my goal is to kind of bring back that whole movement in a way, you know, if I can. And luckily, like, because I learned, I guess, hip-hop culture the way I learned it, I have the ability to do all of those things just by myself. So I try to, like, find a venue, get other people who think likewise together, and then just bring the rest of the community in that. And I think that's one of the main things about it, is the fact that everyone will go and watch it, and whether you're into graph or b-boying or whatever, you'll have something to be a part of when you get there. So that's the mission right now. But yeah, I did that as my MFA project, you know, as a test off kind of. I'm already like starting to do it in other places. So this is kind of like going with the other question. Like, since you're doing all these things that are like different, right? You're doing more art exhibitions. You're doing more things that are reaching out more artistically, but with breaking involved. What do you think? What do you think of the scene right now? And what would you do to make it better? What's something you could give to the audience out there that wants to, like, you know, that doesn't just want to compete? That, you know what I mean? Like, you know, what is, first, what would you do different? What would you say for people to approach it differently? And what do you want to see from the scene now? I think it needs to be linked to education in some sort of way. And it doesn't mean like school. It means, you know, learn about your culture. You know, I hear this term b-boy culture a lot, and it makes me cringe a little bit because like because I get it, I get what they're saying, but at the same time I'm like, you know, that to me feels separate from hip hop culture.
That's very true.
You know, and you can tell sometimes when you see a b-boy who's involved in more than one aspect of hip hop, just by the way that they are off the bat, you know what I mean? And you can tell like a b-boy that he just b-boys and that's all he does. And I look at him like, damn dude, you like, you know, overkill, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can chill out and relax, you know, like do some other things, you know what I mean? So it gets a little frustrating sometimes, but, you know, I even ask my students sometimes, I'm like, you know, I'll give them some information, either something that's been passed down to me or whatever, I'll give it to them, and they're like, well, you know, how did you get this information? And I'm like, well, I study this stuff, and I don't know how many people actually study the craft that they do. You know, you got to know who came before you. You got to know who did the shit first. You know what I mean? And who's out there now, maybe doing something similar or not. You know, you got to look that up, and I don't think people even take the time to do that. They think they know it all already. It's kind of crazy.
So is that something that you would say? It's like you want them to like do more research and like and reach out and maybe teach, maybe even too. What do you think, like teaching and stuff like that?
Yeah, always grab a protege or something. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what level you're on. I started teaching breaking at my community center in New Jersey 6 months after I started breaking.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
and it sparked up like a whole crew after that. You know what I mean?
So what do you think about like stuff becoming now that it's official as far as like the Youth Olympics lineup as far as who's behind the scenes, because they're holding up back for a second now recently, and we're going to talk about the trades in the future episodes. But what do you think about the whole thing now that what you're saying is like you should educate, you should do research. Mm-hmm. Now that's becoming like Monster just won the UK champs, right? So that's like a big milestone, even though for those who don't think it is, like you have Red Bull BC1, but now you have 2 corporate sponsors that are starting to be like, okay, these are winning teams. These are teams that actually win. That's like, I'm sure Monster was like overjoyed, going, hey, this is actually viable to our company.
They made an investment on that.
Exactly. So, and then you have, of course, the Youth Olympics.
Right.
So what do you think we need to do as a community to help, I guess, not go back to the 80s where it's like, but at the same time, we want to be able to live from our craft, right?
Yeah. I think we have to model our ideas off of the past because that's what shaped everything. But we have to bring them into today. And I think that's the hardest thing for us is that we are like kind of flashbacks in a way. A little too much, and even the kids of today don't recognize what that is. Right. So there's got to be ways for us to still remain b-boys in the 2000s and 20s and so on. And I think there's totally ways to do that and keep it as real as possible, which people really are concerned and worried about.
Yes.
But you just can't lose sight of the culture, and a lot of it is that you have to continuously do this stuff. And I think when people stop or they stop for a long period of time and try to start over again is when they lose that a bit. You have to stay connected with it even if you're not dancing yourself. Still go to a jam or something, but that's why it's important to have a protege or somebody younger than you that you start showing some stuff, because either they're going to motivate you, or you're going to start seeing whatever you instilled in them start coming back to you, and you're like, oh, and then it's more exciting that way. When you're by yourself and you're grumpy and you're talking about how it used to be, this and that, like that's
I made up the D-spin, kid.
It dries you out, man. You become like just really bitter, you know what I mean? Yeah, we just gotta stay involved with each other. Still, it has to be community, man. That's all it is.
All right, so I don't see any questions, but I see a lot of people. I see Richie Rosen. What up, Richie? NYC is talking about the Wild Style video is classic. He's talking about like the galleries and stuff like that.
Sure, it's classic.
We're about to go to my last question, since everyone's just listening, and that's when it's a good show, because no one has any questions. They're just listening to like what everyone's saying. Like no one had questions for Wiggles' show. Everyone's just like,
oh,
yes,
that's crazy. That guy's got so much information, man.
Yeah. So what are you doing here in San Francisco? And tell us about what's going on.
So based off of the gallery show I did a couple months back in February. There's Sandy's, one person who is really big in the community here in San Francisco. She asked me to perform here, so she wants me to take like a piece of some of the work that I did and just put it on stage.
Oh, nice.
Which is different because I originally didn't make it for stage. It was in the gallery, so it's going to be slightly different. We got to modify it a bit. But it's exciting to have people interested in what I did, and then hopefully I hope people watch it, because it's like, it's very b-boy at the same time. I think people have always questioned like, oh, well, this doesn't belong on the stage, and I also believe that at the same time. So my challenge is how do we make it in a way that makes it so interesting that b-boys would be interested in wanting to do something like it.
Right.
So it's an experiment for me at this moment, but I'm happy to be here to do it.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's dope. Like, hopefully I could. What time is the show? So for those who want to know, it's Palace of Fine Arts. Are you on Saturday and Sunday?
No, just Saturday.
Just Saturday?
Yep.
So you can find those tickets, I think, on Eventbrite. You guys just look up City Dance Live. Again, it's at the Palace of Fine Arts. And let me know the time because maybe I can come check it out if I can. You're nighttime though? You think it's nighttime or daytime?
It starts at 8. So.
It starts at 8. Perfect, because I might try to check it out. Because I have an interview with. I'll plug that. When we do the wrap up. Right. So I need to do that interview, but I want to check out the show what he's talking about. Right. So we're gonna do the rundown right now and then wrap it up. So the first event coming up in May 19th and the 20th, we have Massive Monkey Day out there in Seattle, Washington. First day is Reign Supreme 101. Second day is the Massive Monkeys anniversary, which has the 3-on-3, and of course, one of the best footwork competitions officially now in the U.S. is the Massive Monkeys Footwork Challenge, where you get to win a ring.
It's pretty tight.
I got one. Well, I didn't bring it, but anyway. And I'll be judging the footwork battle, by the way. Nice. So check that out, May 19th and the 20th. At the same time, same day, if you're in the East Coast and you want that tostones flavor, that Caribbean flavor, you got Rocksteady Puerto Rico out there May 19th and the 20th, or that whole weekend. You have groups for you freestyle fanatics out there. We got TKA for your 90s, boom bap thing. They're called, K7. Whatever, come baby, come, whatever. Talib Kweli, Bahamadia. You're gonna be out there, right?
Nice and smooth.
Nice and smooth.
That's right. I'll be there.
Are you gonna be doing a workshop out there?
We're doing a graph wall on the beach.
Ooh, see, that's what I'm talking about.
We got classes and stuff too. Gravity will be there. Technique will be there. Dude, it's a lot of stuff going on.
That's crazy. If I wasn't going to Massive, I would definitely be there. If you have to pick, right? It's hard to pick, but I would go like this. If you're low on ends,
beach forward battle. Beach forward battle.
I mean, if you're low on ends, if you're in the East Coast, you go that way, right? If you're in the West Coast, you go this way.
That's right.
I mean, that's if you're low on cash, and but maybe you should buy a ticket in United. Maybe it's cheaper now.
Actually, United is one of the only airlines that flies to.
I'm gonna say too soon. Too soon. Too soon. I know that's messed up. So check that out, May 19th weekend.
That's right.
And of course, July 28th to the 30th, we got Rocksteady anniversary,
40th anniversary.
Damn, 40th anniversary. Damn, that's crazy.
My crew's been around longer than me.
Yeah. Almost as long as me. That means I'm old. Damn, I'm old. That's crazy. The lights starting to I feel like I'm fucking Apocalypse Now and shit. Boom. All right. So remember, 40th Rocksteady 40th, July 28th to the 30th.
That's right.
And then of course, August 19th, the biker version of Hanchai. We got the Concrete All-Stars.
Oh my God. That's funny.
It's Hanchai. But if you want to go to a b-boy jam that feels like you're in a biker bar, I would suggest you go to Concrete All-Stars. I go every year. I don't give a
It's pretty sick.
That's the last time he battled, you said, right?
No.
No, he went to the finals, though.
Yeah, we did.
You guys battled BCSK.
Battled on the concrete.
Yeah, on the concrete.
No music.
Not because that was supposed to happen.
Nah, it was a long night, man.
Biker bar. Give it a shout out to Easy Rock, man. Concrete All-Stars, official Concrete All-Stars recently.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, that same month, August 27th, we got the Undisputed one-on-one qualifier for the U.S. And then they're going to have the World Finals in Southern California, so check that out. That's going to be the freestyle session one-on-one qualifier. I think they're having a 35 and up battle. So I'm trying to train for that.
Nice to see you there.
Yeah. And the weekend after that In Honolulu, Hawaii, we got the Melting Pot 808 Breakers first jam. They have the whole weekend, 1st to 3rd September. First day would be workshops with Vicious Vic, myself, J Live, I think, Skillroy. Then the second day will be the 2-on-2 exhibition battles with Hijack from 808 and Floor Gangs versus Vicious Vic, MF Kids Squadron. And then myself versus Skillroy, ABC Breakers, Rocksteady Crew. And I keep saying this every show. Yo, this is gonna be the deal. I'm gonna tell Linsky he could only play early 90s hip hop or freestyle music or like electro. Right there, Skillroy's gonna have his his post-traumatic stress from the 80s. Fucking, he's just gonna go off on me. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want him to fucking just go off and not give. And then the third day, just like Loud Horse tradition, we got the Beach Jet potluck. Right? That's potluck, right? Mm. Potluck on the beach. That's what I'm talking about. Like, just in the tradition of, like, you know, what's going on in Puerto Rocksteady and Radical Force. And again, we're having, like I said, I give a shout out to Katsu. He's going to help promote it out there in Japan. I know that Intac and them are coming too. So then we're going to try to have a Japan versus Ukraine type cipher type shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So that was it so far. And then, of course, November, we got Freestyle Session Crew Battle, 10 on 10.
Team battle?
Team battle. Oh. See what like the machines are going on his head right there. Saw that.
I just want to see how many crews enter that battle.
We're talking about, like, crews. What are you talking about?
Wait, what are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, wait. What are we talking about? Yeah. Well, anyway.
It's the Ratchet Crew, right? Imagine.
Well, anyway. All right. So before we wrap up, here, RJ, come on, RJ, give me the shot, RJ.
DJ.
All right, DJ.
DJ Push Play.
Oh, DJ Push Play. We got RJ, aka Cool Raul. Where can they find you on your social media platforms?
At RJKOOLRAUL.
All right. And of course, we got Why Not. Where can they find you on your social media platforms?
Why Not Ism, YNOTISM. Only on Instagram. I don't do anything else.
Keep it and my thing is, when is he gonna? As the shadow goes, when are you gonna come back to Facebook again?
Never. I won't even see this interview.
That's racist.
Well, you can find me on Facebook right here, facebook.com/Profo Won, capital FLGZ, or on Instagram at PROFO_FLGZ. Yo, this has been a great show. You've been watching The Trades. You can find us on, and you can hashtag The Trades Bboy. This has been Profo Won.
Bboy Ynot, Rocksteady Crew.
All right, peace, and see you later.